So I graduated in 2005. Back in the day, it was called digital illustration. I don't know, it's now digital media, right? If I got this right. Okay. Actually, I had started out in the visual communications program, which I don't know if that's still around.
Yep, it's now graphic
So
design.
old.
Oh, you're so old, Becky. Oh my. No.
So it's called graphic design now.
Yeah.
So I actually have a minor in visual communication,
Mhm.
and my major was in digital illustration. So that was in 2005. I got hired at Biggs Gilmore almost directly out of school. I think I spent maybe 2 months looking for a job, and I applied for all these different random jobs, and Biggs Gilmore was like the one place I really wanted to work, and luckily I got that job, so it was awesome. Actually, Bill hooked me up. So thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked there for 2 years, and then around like late 2007, I was like, I'm really into Flash animation, because Flash wasn't really big back then, like back in the day. So I started looking at going back to school and looking into animation and maybe even going into film. So I started applying at different colleges, and I was accepted at Savannah College of Art and Design. So I went there for 3 years, and I got a master's degree in 3D character animation. And directly after that, I moved home to hang out with my parents. They were having health problems, blah, blah, blah. They're all fine now, but I had started applying for other jobs, and I had actually accepted a position out in Seattle. But like the day that I accepted that job, my boss from Biggs Gilmore contacted me and was like, hey, we're starting up 3D animation. Can you come down and see what we're doing, see if you're interested in that kind of thing. So I was actually like interviewing them for this job that I used to have, which is kind of weird.
And they have really moved towards 3D animation.
Yeah,
at Biggs,
yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Because like as technology is getting more cheap to have, and like, I don't know, you can actually render things. Like I remember seeing students trying to render stuff in like the lab across the hall. It was like take like 2 hours to render one frame. It was crazy, and now we can do stuff like that in minutes. So it's technology's changed, and it's getting easier to do that kind of thing. So yeah, so long story short, I accepted the job at Biggs, and I've been there now for 2 years.
And
so.
what is your position there?
I am technically a studio artist, but they also call me the 3D lead artist.
Right.
So whenever there's something 3D, they give it to me immediately, and then I'll like farm it out to like Matt or one of the other minions.
So Matt is a minion,
Yeah.
officially?
Oh, yeah.
Officially
So
a minion.
that is what we would call
Well, I
them.
think you're actually going to see one of my examples of like
You will
3D
see.
that I tried to do. Like, what's 3ds Max? And I'm like pushing pixels around, and like it's a nightmare. Like, this is why we have her
Well,
and I do the
and
sketching.
this is maybe also why you guys tag team so much, right? Because and that's when I called you guys, I actually called Becky to come in, you're like, well, I've got to have Matt, because he's my guy that we work together with so much. So, Matt, first tell us your story of when you graduated. And
We, I think we took a trip down to Biggs, like, late in my first semester of my senior year. And so I met a couple people there and got some contact information and stuff. And I actually applied for an internship my senior year, and I got it. And I was hired, I think, 2 weeks before I graduated. So I was like the luckiest person on the planet as far as like I never had to hunt for a job. So it was pretty awesome. And I was hired in as a studio artist, and I primarily for my illustration skills and stuff. And I knew Flash. So my thesis here was in animation. I graduated in 2009 with 2D animation, digital media. So I did a lot of Flash work for them at first, but now I've mainly moved into strictly like storyboarding and concept illustration and things like that. So if they need, say we have an idea for an animation or whatever, I will sketch out first like what they want the look and feel to be, and then we'll go to storyboards, and then move on to animatics, and then eventually hand it off to Becky. And after that, I thanks to actually Mike Dollar here, I got really into sound design, and I kind of talked my way into being their sound guy too. So I do all the sound effects, and I'm like, I don't know if I have an official title for that, but it's like I'm the sound go-to guy there. So anything musically we need, I write that. And anything, sound effects wise, I do that. And like any voiceover voiceover we record in-house, I do that as well.
And what software are you guys using for sound?
I primarily use Propellerhead Reason and Adobe Audition, I think is the one that I use the most. That's for more sound effects and things like that, but Reason is what I compose in.
And what software are you guys using for animation, 2D, 3D?
For 2D stuff, we do Flash, unless we're doing like an animated GIF or something in Photoshop, which is kind of rare. I primarily use Maya for 3D. So, and a lot of like, we'll work with other like sister companies on stuff, and we'll share assets. And if they send me something from 3ds Max, I make sure it can be converted to a Maya file. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Bare bones concepts, we get our direction from the art director and copywriter duo teams, and they're the ones that come up with the grand ideas. And they have just kind of a mess of ideas and maybe some simple sketches and stuff, and they bring it to us and say, well, can we do this first and foremost in a reasonable amount of time, and also what kind of style can we like kind of flare this up with, you know?
Yeah.
And
we talk a lot about like budgets and constraints, and like how
Right.
much time is it going to take to do this thing,
Yeah,
and
so-
that's actually really important,
Yeah.
like
Right.
to make sure your project is doable before you start doing
Right.
it.
So what is a typical time period for like the Crave commercial?
Oh man,
Uh,
once we got everything like, oh man,
Yeah,
that was
nailed
months
down.
that was like a couple months of actual prep work as far as what we wanted, what the entire campaign was supposed to be. It ended up being a movie maker, so a movie maker on Facebook, so what that ended up meaning was how many, like 50 clips or something like that. It was a bunch
it was a
of,
ridiculous
yeah.
amount of animation.
It was a bunch of separately animated clips that had to, if the user wanted to, they had to be able to connect each clip to another, like any other random clip. So that means
Yeah, I think it's still live. I think you can still
Yeah.
go on the Crave Facebook
Yeah.
page and see
basically
it.
a choose your own adventure type of
Right.
thing. So
Um,
yeah, so after months of preparation on that, I think it ended up the actual turnaround for one like 30-second
yeah, we were doing like a
Yeah.
30-second video per week, I think.
per week.
Yeah.
Ended up being about a week, but that was
Right.
after we had got the style down and everything like that, and
Yeah.
the initial character models and everything. And so
Yeah,
I
got
would
the
have,
rigs made and figured out lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would have probably a day maybe to make a full-fledged animatic for then Becky to follow.
And I would spend
in
about
3D,
a
yeah.
day on like a 10-second animation, which sounds crazy.
It is
But after you
crazy.
get into like the rhythm of working
Yeah.
on a project, you just like, you know how it's
Yep.
supposed to go, and you just crank them out.
So yeah, first it was the actual process went after everything was concept. It was like we have an idea for a video clip, so now we have Matt draw a couple storyboards that we can present to the client or whatever. And then once those are signed off, then it's like, okay, make that an animatic so Becky can follow it. So I animate that in Flash, like kind of bring it to life and make sure the timing is as close as it's going to be. And then I give it to Becky, and then as soon as she gives it back to me, I composite it all in After Effects with like any kind of particle effects that need to be done or whatever. And then along with that, all of the sound design, any music that had to happen, any voiceover work, like these Crave creatures, they make little grumbles and things like that. And so
Are you
this
doing
guy would-
that sound too? Or
We're-
are there
yeah,
voiceover actors that are coming in?
it was a tag team between like anybody I could find. Like luckily we work with a guy who actually, James Herman, who went to Kendall as well. He's a very gifted voice actor,
He can do
and
a lot
so
of
he
voices
could do all
too.
these like
Yeah.
crazy little grumbles and whistles and things like that. So
Right.
luckily we had him, and so I just bring him into the room like, come on, James, and he would do all this stuff, and then it's up to me to like edit them together,
Okay.
pare them down.
It's kind of a, it's like a brand by brand case though, because like for Applejacks, we do hire out
Yeah.
voice acting.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I don't know
that-
if we're still doing that, but in the past
Um,
we have.
Yeah, definitely. We
So
have
it really depends on
professional voice-
budget, yeah.
professional voice actors and stuff like that. Yeah, it really is a budget thing. It's like for Crave, it was a time thing as well.
Yeah.
Like we just didn't have the time or the money to spend on actually calling into professional voice recording studios and hiring talent and stuff. So we had to do it all in house. So we had to rise to the challenge, but it was
Yeah.
fun because we've never done anything like that before.
Right.
So.
But then also, after all that's said and done, after the video is done, we have to then hand this stuff off to developers and make sure that it's like the right spec size
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that like technical
Everything.
jargon so that it can be on the web.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
So-
what you're making is for online
Most-
media.
yeah,
most
everything's
of
on
it.
the web,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
so things for Facebook and things for just online. You guys have your own brands online.
Yeah.
So,
Each site has
For their
own,
websites.
their
Yeah.
own websites and stuff like that. and then
Microsites,
the
online
majority of
media,
it-
which are those dumb little banner ads. I
won't
mean, we
call
love
them
all
dumb,
that.
we can edit that out, right?
Yeah, we can rant about
Cool.
that all day. Love making banners.
Can you guys tell me about a great experience at your work? I know that there's a lot of Kendall students that have actually gone to work there. There's James and Jeremiah and a lot of other students that have gone there. Are you guys all good buddies?
yeah.
What's that like? You guys sharing lunches?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
kicking each
Enjoy
other's
each other's
noses? What's going on?
company. Just kidding. No, we did. Everybody, I mean, that's what's awesome about working at Biggs is everybody pretty much gets along, and
I think it's
we
a
work really well
requirement when you
together.
get hired in. Like I don't know if it's just they can tell when they hire people.
Yeah.
Like you're awesome. You're
They're
in.
hiring
Like you have to be
personality.
able.
There's
Yeah,
a-
exactly.
You know.
Yeah, you have to be able to sit next to each other for
Mhm.
8 to how many hours a day to make it work?
Yeah.
Really depends.
People
Yeah.
that are like coughing and hacking and
Yeah.
smell funny. And
Kendall students don't smell fun.
yeah.
Do you guys have any advice for students who want to pursue a field like animation, character design, the fields that you guys cover at Biggs?
Right. I was just thinking about this, like, when I had gone to Kendall, I had never imagined myself ever leaving Michigan. I don't know, like, I just felt like I'm going to get a job here, da-da-da. Like, it never occurred to me that, like, I could go to Savannah or I could go out west. Like, that's where a lot of the work is out west or in New York or whatever. Like, I feel like don't get trapped in, like, the mindset that you need to be here and looking for work. Like, you can look other places. So, yeah. I wish I had known that or thought about that.
And what kind of things should students have in their portfolios to get a job in the field?
Heard a lot of different mindsets about that, and I think what I've just landed on now is they want to know you can do a lot of different things. Like any job wants to know that you're flexible and stuff like that. But if you are exceptionally good at one thing, to me, like say you're exceptionally good at storyboarding or you're exceptionally good at character design, I think if that's what you really want to do for a living, like you should definitely concentrate on that, because the danger of going into the whole like jack of all trades mindset is if you spend too much time on too many different things, you don't spend enough time on the one thing that maybe you want to do for the rest of your life. And like if that thing, like say the thing is storyboarding, like I think that should definitely be a standout feature of your portfolio. And if say you really wanted to go in like a storyboarding job or something like that, another mindset is you only show people storyboards and like a couple character designs and gestures,
Right.
just to know that you can do that, but like nothing else basically. It's
It
like
depends on where you're applying to, you know. If you're applying for storyboard positions, show storyboard art. It's kind of common
Right.
sense, really.
Yeah.
You know. But I feel like at the same time, for me, like I wanted to do flash animation. Like I was like dead set up. Like when I went to Savannah, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna be a 2D animator, and I was gonna get a job doing cartoons or something. But like halfway through my first semester there, I was like 3D, you know, and then that became like the love of my life. So you have to kind of be open to things too at the same time. So
I would say
sorry,
that
Matt.
sounded like no, I mean, like when you said that, like thinking about it through like I would say your entire college career standpoint, I think they offer a lot of classes here, especially at Kendall, about, like the intro to illustration classes and stuff, where they kind of give you the chance to mess with all these different mediums and stuff. I think, I did a lot of that throughout my college career and like a little bit afterwards, but I don't think I took advantage of it enough here at school, where they give you the opportunity to try whatever you want. And I think you should totally take advantage of that, because that will maybe open up an avenue like 3D for Becky that she didn't even know she liked, until she had the opportunity to mess with it, So I think definitely take advantage of what you have
yeah,
in school while you have
play
it.
around, figure out
Yeah.
what you like, and then hone in on it.
Right, right.
Introducing a new breed of chocolate cereal. Kellogg's Crave. Wicked crunch outside, smooth chocolate inside. In chocolate and double chocolate. chocolate will never be safe again. New Crave cereal. Chocolate, chocolate.